photo that was released yesterday. Now, if you guys don't know, Kid Cudi was there. He's a musician. And as we can see here, Sophie Cunningham is not in the picture. Now, I'm trying to see, is anybody else missing? But I'm not seeing nobody else missing. Guys, drop down in the comment section. Let me know if you guys see anybody else missing. I don't think. There's him and Caitlin. Here we go.
That team photo tells a story. Everyone's there. Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, everyone except Sophie Cunningham. And before you say she was injured, look closer at the practice footage. Sophie was at the facility. She had her jersey on. She was present. But she didn't practice. And more importantly, she wasn't in that official team photo. In Indiana fever culture, that's not an accident. That's a message.
In the photo, which means that Sophie did not practice. Now, Sophie did have on her jersey in that picture. Now, here's the here.
There you go.
Him and Caitlin.
Thank you. Great. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. All right, let's go.
And 3, 2, 1.
You're awesome.
Notice how Sophie's wearing pants while everyone else is in practice gear. She's standing off to the side, clearly not participating in the session. This comes one day after the injury report listed her with an elbow issue from falling in the previous game. But here's what makes this significant. The Fever have a very specific way of handling these situations. We saw it with the Stephanie White hiring. We saw it with how they managed the Caitlin Clark draft situation. When there's tension, when there's a problem, Indiana doesn't make public statements. They make strategic moves that send clear signals to anyone paying attention. The timing here matters. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Sophie Cunningham made a social media post recently that caught attention. And if you know anything about Indiana basketball culture, the one thing they emphasize constantly is team unity and professionalism. Stephanie White has talked about it. Team president Kelly Krauskopf has built her reputation on it. There's a standard, and that standard is non-negotiable.
So you click on fever.com. Share this here with you guys. So this is the website that you'll come to vote for CC. So I'm finna vote now. Quick vote. And you know, I'm voting for CC. Sign in. Oh, man.
Watch Caitlin's body language during practice. She's locked in, working with the coaching staff, completely focused on preparation. This is 2 days before they face the Chicago Sky, a game they're expected to dominate. The team is clicking on all cylinders right now. They've won their last 3 games, the offense is flowing, and Clark just hit that game-winning shot against Washington that had the entire arena erupting. Everything is trending upward. So when one player is conspicuously absent from the team photo during this momentum, it raises questions. Is this purely medical? The injury report says elbow injury. But NBA and WNBA teams practice injured players all the time. They do modified workouts, they do film sessions, they participate in team activities even when they can't play full contact. The fact that Sophie wasn't even in the photo suggests something deeper than a minor elbow issue.
C. Mitchell and yours truly, Shagoat, Caitlin Clark. Now, if you guys want to vote, you click here. So you click on fever.com. Share this here with you guys. So this is the website that you'll come to vote for CC. So I'm finna vote now. Quick vote. And you know, I'm voting for CC. Sign in. Oh, man, I ain't finna let y'all know my login. But this is how you do it, bro. Boom. So Caitlin Clark is already on there. So you can just sign into your WNBA account and you will vote there. Hold on, you guys is not seeing this, are you? Let me make sure you guys can see this.
The All-Star voting announcement adds another layer to this story. 3 Indiana Fever players are up for fan voting. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark. Notice who's not on that list despite being a key rotation player. Sophie Cunningham has been with the team all season. She's contributed in important moments, but she's not in the All-Star conversation, and that matters when you're trying to establish yourself as a core piece of a franchise that's rapidly ascending. Think about the position Sophie's in right now. She came to Indiana as a veteran presence, someone who was supposed to help guide this young core. But the reality is that Caitlin Clark's arrival changed everything. The attention, the expectations, the media scrutiny, it all multiplied exponentially. Players who thought they'd have certain roles suddenly found themselves in different positions. The entire dynamic of the organization shifted overnight. And here's what we know about high-pressure situations in professional sports. They expose everything. When a team is struggling, players can hide behind collective failure. But when a team is winning and one player is getting 90% of the attention and credit, that creates a different kind of tension. It's not always about jealousy. Sometimes it's about identity, about finding your place in a system that's been completely reorganized around one generational talent.
Clark trying to go all the way in, reverses it on Boston Coles, and knocks it down. Mitchell, 3-ball.
Y'all know who the best is. DC, let's go. But yeah, guys, going back to the photo, either Sophie Cunningham hurt for real.
That game-winning shot against Washington is a perfect example. Caitlin gets the ball from Sophie on a designed play, drills the three-pointer, and the entire narrative becomes about Clark's clutch gene. Which is fair, she made the shot, but Sophie made the pass that created the opportunity. She read the defense, recognized that two defenders followed Lexi Hull on the initial action, and delivered a perfect feed to get Caitlin the ball in rhythm. That's high-level basketball IQ. Yet in the post-game coverage, in the highlight reels, in the social media celebration, Sophie's contribution gets mentioned maybe once or twice while Caitlin gets hundreds of thousands of interactions. Again, that's not surprising given Clark's star power. But if you're a professional athlete who's worked your entire career to get recognition, watching that dynamic play out game after game can wear on you. It's human nature.
The infamous flopping that took place versus, I believe, the Golden State Valkyries. Now, Leah Boston poked fun at this whole situation.
This is a flopping video against
flopping.
AB. Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. Let's start it again.
Hey,
girl. Hey. Ah! Ref, did you see that?
You literally would have thought I hit her in her neck. I could not believe this.
It's the head flop.
I was like, I might have traveled, but I didn't hit her in the face.
Best performance in a flopping fall
Yeah.
goes to number 3.
She deserves an Emmy for sure with this.
No,
So
you're not
crazy.
understanding the back bend that her chest did. Look at the form of this. Watch. Bloosh.
It's like a new dance move, actually. Like, you could roll it back. Yeah.
You would have thought she was diving into a pool.
Now listen to how Stephanie White breaks down that play. She's very deliberate in crediting both players. Sophie for reading the defense and making the pass, Caitlin for knocking down the shot. White understands the importance of making every player feel valued, especially in moments when the spotlight naturally gravitates toward one person. That's good coaching, that's managing egos, and maintaining team chemistry. But here's the challenge. No matter how much the coach emphasizes team contributions, the outside world doesn't care. Fans don't care. Media doesn't care. They want the star. They want Caitlin Clark content. And that creates an impossible situation for role players, even important role players like Sophie Cunningham. The flopping video segment is particularly interesting in this context. Watch how Aaliyah Boston and the team are joking around, having fun reviewing exaggerated flops from games. It's a moment of levity, team bonding, the kind of thing that builds chemistry. Sophie's not in that clip either. Now maybe she filmed it separately, maybe she was getting treatment, maybe it's completely innocent. But when you add it to the missing team photo, the pattern starts to look less coincidental.
This interview, now we did not play this entire interview, but shout out to the homeboy, Coach Anderson. I want you guys to listen to this.
With this, when Caitlin Clark hit that shot the other night in Washington, I'm not going to say we shall be free, that it was this like lifting in that regard, but she said afterwards that, and I'm paraphrasing, that it just kind of helped break through some of the noise. Is that a fair statement? Was there stuff swirling around that it was good to just break through that?
I mean, I think anytime you are able to come away with a win on the road, and especially in our league, it's always good. You know, we've had our moments where we haven't done as good a job as we're capable of in playing with a lead. You know, it was another one of those moments at times in that ball game But I always feel good about ourselves when we get to end of game situations. I think that our team does a great job of executing in those moments.
This answer from Stephanie White reveals something crucial about how the Fever operate. She talks about designed plays, but also player freedom to improvise based on defensive reads. That's a sophisticated offensive system that requires trust, communication, and basketball IQ from everyone on the floor. You can't run that kind of offense if you have players who aren't fully bought in, who aren't communicating, who aren't on the same page mentally and emotionally. And that's why the Sophie Cunningham situation, whatever it actually is, matters more than just one player missing a practice. If there's genuine tension, if there's a disconnect between her and the organization, it affects everything. It affects how plays are executed, how the bench chemistry functions, how the team responds in pressure moments. You can have all the talent in the world, but if the locker room isn't unified, it eventually shows up on the court. White mentions that they didn't anticipate two defenders going with Lexi Hull on that play. That kind of defensive adjustment happens in real time, and players have to react instantly. Sophie saw it, made the right read, executed the pass. That's a player who understands the system and her role within it. So if she's now separated from team activities beyond just injury management, something changed, and it changed recently. Here's what makes this situation particularly complex. The Indiana Fever are in the middle of their best stretch of basketball in years. They're winning games, Caitlin Clark is performing at an MVP level, the attendance is breaking records, and the national attention is unlike anything the franchise has ever experienced. This is exactly the moment when you need complete roster stability and locker room harmony. But professional sports doesn't work on convenient timelines. Issues don't wait for the offseason to emerge. And the specific culture that Stephanie White is trying to build, one based on Indiana basketball tradition, accountability, and team-first mentality, that culture has standards. If a player violates those standards, whether through social media behavior, practice habits, or interpersonal conflicts, there are consequences. Look at how quickly the Fever made the Stephanie White hire. They didn't mess around, they didn't go through a prolonged search. They identified who they wanted, someone who embodied Indiana basketball culture, and they made it happen. That decisiveness extends to how they handle internal issues. When something isn't right, they address it. They don't let problems fester. The elbow injury from falling in the previous game, let's examine that for a second. Falls happen in basketball constantly. Players bang knees, twist ankles, get elbows to the ribs. The vast majority of the time, these are minor issues that don't prevent practice participation. They might limit certain drills, but a player can still shoot, still do film work, still be present for team activities. The fact that Sophie was completely removed from practice, not even participating in the team photo, suggests either the injury is more serious than reported, or the injury is being used as cover for something else. And before anyone accuses this analysis of speculation, understand that this is how professional sports organizations operate. They use injury reports strategically. They list players as day-to-day when the real issue is behavioral. They announce rest when they're actually sending a message about effort or attitude. It's not conspiracy theory, it's standard practice across every major sports league. The social media post that Sophie made, which was referenced in the opening of this story, adds context. We don't have the exact content here, but the mention of it alongside the phrase, "if we know the Indiana Fever way," suggests it was something that didn't align with organizational standards. The Fever have been very careful about their public image, especially with how they protect and support Caitlin Clark. Any player who steps outside those boundaries, even unintentionally, is going to face internal consequences. Think about the broader roster construction too. The Fever have decisions to make going forward. They have core players locked in. Caitlin Clark, obviously, Aaliyah Boston as the #1 overall pick from the previous draft, Kelsey Mitchell as a proven veteran scorer. But beyond that core, there's flexibility. There are roster spots that aren't guaranteed long term. Sophie Cunningham is a good player, but she's not irreplaceable in this system. If the organization determines that someone isn't fitting the culture, isn't buying into the program completely, they have options. They can reduce playing time, they can make roster moves in the offseason, they can create situations where a player decides to seek opportunities elsewhere. None of that requires public drama or messy headlines. It happens quietly, professionally, and by the time the official announcement comes, everyone involved has already moved on. The contrast between Sophie's absence and the visible enthusiasm from the rest of the roster is stark. Watch any of the recent practice footage or game celebrations. Caitlin, Lexi, Aaliyah, Kelsey, everyone is locked in and energized. The chemistry is obvious. They're having fun while maintaining intensity. That's the culture Stephanie White is building, and it's working. The results on the court prove it. So when one player isn't part of that visible unity, it stands out. And in today's social media environment, fans notice everything. The fact that this became a talking point, that people are analyzing team photos and practice footage, shows how invested the fan base is in every detail of this organization. That level of scrutiny means nothing stays hidden for long. The All-Star voting timing is also worth noting. This is a moment when the league celebrates its best players, when fan engagement reaches its peak, when individual accomplishments get highlighted. For players on the bubble of recognition, this is when you want to be visible, active, and associated with positive team momentum. Being absent from team activities during All-Star voting week, even with an injury excuse, is terrible timing if you're trying to build your profile. And let's be honest about the reality of WNBA roster economics. Players are fighting for contracts, for recognition, for opportunities that can extend their careers and increase their earning potential. Every game matters, every practice matters, every moment in the public eye matters. If you're not available, if you're not contributing, someone else is getting those reps and that exposure. The league is too competitive, and the roster spots too limited to take anything for granted. The comment about fans watching the Fever like a hawk is absolutely accurate. This isn't a normal WNBA franchise anymore. This is the most scrutinized team in the league, maybe in WNBA history. Every lineup decision, every substitution pattern, every social media post gets analyzed by thousands of people in real time. That creates pressure, but it also creates accountability. You can't hide mediocrity or dysfunction when that many eyes are watching. So where does this leave Sophie Cunningham? If the absence is purely medical, she'll return when healthy, and this becomes a non-story. But if there's more to it, if there's a genuine disconnect between her and the organization, we'll see it play out in playing time, in roster decisions, in how the rest of the season unfolds. The Fever play the Chicago Sky next, a game they should win comfortably. Whether Sophie is active, and if so, how she's used will tell us a lot about where this situation actually stands. What's your read on this? Is this just an injury being overanalyzed, or is there something deeper happening with Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because as this season progresses, the storylines around this team are only going to get more intense. The Fever are must-watch television right now, and not just because of Caitlin Clark. The entire organizational dynamic, the culture being built, the decisions being made, it's all part of a larger story about where this franchise is headed.